All right. Hey, how y'all doing? This is Hunt 919 Truth to Sports coming to you with another segment. As you know, I like to interview ex-athletes and current athletes to get a different perspective of what goes on in the athlete's mind, what helps an athlete accomplish, their accomplishments, some of the things they go through on a daily basis. Here I have a person who's a hammer thrower at Elon University. They are a CAA conference champion. They have been named Athlete of the Week on two different occasions. Very smart young lady. I would like for you to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Adriana Clarke. I am a rising junior at Elon University.
Yes, you are. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while since I've actually seen you. So we're going to get right into it. First of all, I'm going to let everybody know about Elon. Elon is a very prestigious university, very small college, and on this part of North Carolina. They have a great women's track and field program. Well, track and field period is a very good program that a lot of people don't know about, which is why I like doing things like this. They are in the CAA, what's the Coastal Athletic Association. Believe it or not, when I played at East Carolina back in the day, we started out in the CAA. So I was actually in that conference a long time ago. Right now, Elon is more known in a certain way for their women's basketball, and it's partly because of their head coach. The head coach is named Charlotte Smith, and she played for University of North Carolina back in the day. She was up. She helped them win the national championship. She was the 1994 most outstanding player in the tournament. She also earned All American honors while at Carolina. So that's basically why a lot of people know about Elon College. But we're going to introduce another part of Elon College, their track program, and that's what we're going to get into with the young lady I have here. Now, first, I like to get into the academic part of it because a lot of people look at athletics and they just think you get up and go play a sport. But you and I know that you have to have your academics in order, especially Elon College. So in high school, we're going to start your high school career. So in high school, you was in the National Honor Society. So please tell me how you accomplished that. That was a big goal.
So, during National Honor Society, you had to uphold a certain GPA. I don't really remember what it was. I think it was a 3.5.
Hmm.
And through the National Honor Society, we did a lot of community service, giving back to the community. And then through that, that's how we just came to communion.
Right. Okay. So in your everyday grind, obviously you was a high level athlete, and we'll get into that. What did you do to maintain your high grades? It's easier said than done. So how did you maintain that? What type of schedule did you set up for yourself?
Early mornings or late nights. I either would come home after practice and do all my homework all like on a Monday or Wednesday, depending on when the due dates are. I'm a huge procrastinator, so it's probably like
Mm.
the night before I'm doing everything.
Okay.
Um, or I will wake up early morning the following day and finish up everything I couldn't do the night before because I was so tired. So just like long, long hours within the early morning and late night.
Okay, so you're a grinder. So I always like to ask people this who I think are smart because I think being smart is a talent. Now, it's two different types of talent. Are you a person who has to really study for their grades, or is it natural to you? You get some people that can just study the night before a test, et cetera, et cetera. So which one are you? You would say.
I would say in high school, I was more of the person of like, I just studied the night before and I was good. I try to do that now in college, and sometimes I get away with it. But I'm more of like a preparation type of person now.
Okay. Well, your grades are good now because me and you've talked before, so you're doing good. However way you do it, you have figured it out. Now, Elon College, okay, you're coming out of high school. Elon College is not just some easy college to get into. Elon right now is ranked number 121 out of 436 national universities, which is very high. They are normally ranked number one in the undergraduate teaching program. The average grade point average to get into Elon is a 3.9. So, how did you feel when you found out that you actually got into Elon? Because it's not easy getting into Elon University.
No, I actually first found out that I got into Elon through my coach, Coach Laura, when I was being recruited. Because you obviously don't want to recruit a student that can't get into the college. So she did a pre-check for me, and that's how I found out. So when I actually got my acceptance letter, it was like, oh yay, I get like the letter when I
Right.
already got the confirmation. But I just remember being so ecstatic that I was able to get to that next step of my recruiting process. So.
Okay. All right. Good. I see that while at Elon, you was an office assistant, a student coordinator, and a student coordinator lead. Now, how were you able to maintain those titles on top of doing your athletics? Because as we're going to get into later, you performed at a high level through your athletics. So, how did you do that?
Yeah, so right now I'm just an office assistant and a student coordinator lead, and through that I just find gaps throughout my schedule where I can like pop into the office and work. It's hard, but my a lot of my coworkers and supervisors are very supportive of me being a student athlete and knowing that I have a busy schedule. So like if I do need a break or if I do need time, they give me grace, which is so amazing. um, but yeah, it's a lot of time management, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, especially when you have to travel and you do away tournaments or away meets or whatever. So that's why I was like to ask athletes how do they do that. Now, how do you get your rest? Because a lot of athletes, as you know and I know, need rest. So if you're doing all of these things during the day, then you're working in the evenings or at night, and you got homework, how are you doing that?
So I pre-plan my stuff from when I'm scheduling my classes. So I like
Hmm.
to schedule my classes based on what I know I want to do and what I don't want to do. So like within the spring semester, I base my classes more in the midday so I can work in the afternoons and I'll have practices in the morning. During the fall, I have morning classes so I can sleep in. And then I have like my classes in the morning, practices in the afternoon, and then work after practice. So just based off of that, I also have a hard stop at around 11. Um, After 11, I'm going straight to bed. It doesn't matter if I'm like not done with the assignment. I can wake up early the next morning, but at 11 o'clock, I am hitting the bed. My body just shuts down naturally, so I don't try to push it because I'm not gonna do anything great from that. So
Hmm.
yeah, I give myself a hard bedtime of 11, 10:30.
Wow, that's very disciplined. I have to give you credit for that because we stayed up late all the time, and
Yeah.
then we suffered in the morning, of course.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into your athletic career. We're going to start with high school. So I read, as far as doing my research on you, you knew as early as age 9 that you wanted to be into track. How? Because now normally, kids know they want to play football or basketball early. What
Yeah.
made you say I want to get into track at the age of 9?
I have Jamaican parents, so
Oh, okay, okay,
my Jamaican parents were like, "Oh, let's like." I went from soccer. I did gym. I did soccer, and they were like, "Okay, let's try track," because that's
right.
just the pure blood Jamaican in them. But so we started off with track at 9 years old. I started off as a sprinter,
Hmm.
which if you find those times, that wasn't me. But I started off as a sprinter along with a side of shot put. So that's how I started off, just knowing what track was and knowing what even throwing is, because I feel like even still today people know what track is but have
Right,
no idea what throwing is.
right. And that was going to be my next question. Now, at that early age, did you know exactly? Because track has a lot of different components to it.
Yeah.
So, what did you know? How did you know you knew exactly what you wanted to go into at that age? Because who would know they want to, be a thrower? Most people that go into track, or I run, but it's more to it than that. So, how did you figure that out at such an early age?
Yeah, when I was younger, I actually did shot put, jab, and then all the sprints. But I actually made it to the 2015 AAU Junior Olympics for javelin at the age
Really?
of like, yeah, at the age of like, I think I was like 10, and like
Okay.
I think the jab was like 2 pounds max, but I
Right.
still made it. And I was like, Mom, like I think I really want to do this. So she was like, Sure, why not? So that's how that sprouted.
Was this passed down to you? Like, where did this come from?
Honestly, I actually the last time we had our conversation,
Froze up.
my mom isn't really big in athletics.
Hmm.
She did cheerleading for like fun, but she's not very an athletic person. She'll tell you that herself. But
Right.
my dad did a lot of like basketball. He did long distance running, which is completely opposite for me. But he
Right.
did long distance running and stuff like that back in Jamaica. So I think that's where I got that sense of like competitiveness and just the love from sports probably passed down from him.
Okay, now I see in high school you were a four-time district qualifier. You was also a district champion. Okay,
Mhm.
tell me how you became a champion at such an early age. Because track can be very difficult.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
I just honestly, it was a lot of grit. We moved. My mom is military, so when we moved to Florida from Virginia,
Hmm.
it was like a hard stop on track because we couldn't find any programs. We were new to the area. We were new to the state, so we didn't know anything about it. So I
Hmm.
remember going into track, like again after a few years, and I was like, okay, I have to feel out myself all over again. But once
Hmm.
I got the feel for it, I automatically fell in love with it, and I'm a very stubborn person, so if I
Hmm.
like something and I wanna be good at it, I'm gonna make sure that I put all my all into it, as best as I
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this is a little bit tougher question. So I saw that you qualified for the regionals twice, right?
can.
So what prevented you from overcoming that obstacle? Because you perform at a high level all the time.
Yeah, so honestly, the first time I made it to regionals, I was ecstatic. I was like, so that's when I finally knew that I needed to leave sprinting alone and just focus on throwing because sprinting wasn't going well for me. Again,
Right,
if you find those times, that was not me. But
right, right,
um,
right.
honestly, that's when regionals is actually such a great story that you asked that because my junior year, I did not make it to regionals. I made it to
Mhm.
regionals my sophomore year and my senior year, but not my junior year. And after I didn't make it to regionals, I bawled for like 4 days. And that's when I actually became very serious with my sport and trained every day for a summer straight, to the point where I got a glimpse of like, hey, maybe I can actually go to college for this.
Right.
So yeah, so regionals was hard, and I think that's like honestly the highest competition I've ever had because though like I've been to states, I've been to conference, regionals was like the place of where I found that I actually have a love for this and I actually really want to go far in this.
Right, and I'm glad you said that because one of my questions is I always ask athletes, when did you know in your mind, not what a coach is telling you, not what your parents are telling you, because they sometimes tells you what you like to hear.
Yeah.
When did you know I could play in college, and when did you know I could play D1 in college? Doing this. When did
Yeah.
that really
So
hit you?
the D1 part was honestly just a dream that I had to pray really, really hard to God for.
Okay.
But I did realize that I was growing like really quickly in my numbers regarding shot put because in high school I only threw shot put. I didn't throw discus, and that was also another big insecurity for me because I didn't think I would get recruited anywhere good or big or as good as Elon University because I only through one event, and that's not something that's normal coming out of high school. Everybody throws
Right.
shot and disc. I only threw shot. So, yeah, around when I started to make big jumps within my PRs and my numbers, and I felt the love consistently, even in the days that I didn't want to go to practice, even in the days
Right.
that I didn't want to show up, I still felt the love. That's when I knew, like, I can actually go far in this.
Okay. And I'm sure you had a lot of confidence behind that because you're already performing at a high level. Now, we're talking about track, but I also saw that you lettered in weightlifting, basketball, and cross country.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness. Yes.
Now, first of all, I'm gonna give you credit for staying active because coaches love when you do multiple sports.
Yeah.
But you have to break down how you got into weightlifting for me.
So, cross country was more of a my coach needed more bodies, so he just asked me to do it, and I said yes. So
Okay.
I wasn't very good at all for cross country. I don't think I've ever like I finished a race, but I was always last. But basketball, I wasn't really good at either. I did basketball my ninth and 10th grade year, and it was more of my dad's idea. He's like, "You should try it out," because
Right.
he was a big basketball player. He loved basketball, and I was like,
Right.
"Okay, I'll try," but I was not very good at it. I'm very short. I am 5'3",
Right.
and I was like, "This is not for me." So
Right.
that's when I found weightlifting, and one of my coaches, at the time in high school, she was like, "You should like come out and try." And I was like, okay, sure. Like, I'm not playing basketball, and I needed something to buffer the winter before track season within the spring started within high school. So I was like, sure, I'll try, and fell in love with it. It was
Mm,
perfect. It matched exactly what I needed for throwing.
right.
So yeah, I think my first year of weightlifting, I made it to states along with my senior year. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy,
You
but
made it
it
to the
was it was
states. So you make it to the states or the regionals and everything that you're doing for the most part.
Yeah, except for basketball and cross country, I guess, but
Yeah, well, those you were participating in those, but everything else,
yeah,
because cross country is hard. We did cross country too in high school, and it was just too much running. I despised it, but we had to do it too,
yeah.
just like you did. Okay, so you complete a very good high school career. You get recruited, and Elon calls you. Now, did you have any other choices, besides Elon, as far as giving you an opportunity to play at the next level?
I did have more opportunities. They were more like D3, D2, but the only one that I had my heart set on, honestly, was Elon. I don't think I really reached out to any other D1 program other than Elon because I already had
Right,
my heart set on Elon. And I do remember I also remember like when Laura called me, my coach called me for like, can I offer you a spot? I was at my mom's job and
right.
she called me and I like jumped up and down like screaming, "Oh my god!" Like
Wow.
I got an offer, I got an offer, and like we're in the middle of a military base, and everybody's just like staring at me, like, what is
Right, right,
going on?
right, right,
But
right.
yeah, no, I already had my heart set on Elon from a very early time of like the start of my recruitment, so I didn't really look into it.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, now you go to Elon, obviously. What was the first thing that hit you when you started practice as far as the difference between Elon and the high school you just left? Because we all have those moments.
Yeah, the intensity. That's such a
Mm,
great question.
yeah,
Well, the intensity of practice, for like in high school is more like we would throw, and it was like, my practices in high school were more like friend hangouts because I was so close to all my teammates. So we will
right.
throw, we will yap, we will talk, and then we'll throw again. And then when I came to college, it was throw, throw, throw. Like
Yes.
this is intentional practice. Like this
Yep.
is this is like an hour of straight throwing, straight
Yes.
conditioning, straight drilling. I've never done so many drills when I
Yep.
first came to college, and I was like,
Yep.
wow, like I'm gassed. And like there was nowhere to sit. I was like,
Right.
"Oh my gosh, this is so new." I'm like dying. So yeah,
Right.
I think it's the intensity of how quickly practice was.
Right. Now, this is a lot of time. Me and some of my teammates used to talk about this, and this hit me hard. At any point, did it start feeling like a job to you and not a sport? And that's a very
Mhm.
important question because a lot of people don't understand it until you're in it. Did
Yeah.
it? Okay.
I think sometimes, like, really in the fall semester when life is just hard and you
Hmm.
do nothing but just condition, and
Yep.
then you're heavy, like, you're just heavy throwing, like, you don't touch a competition weight implement, like, it can seem rough. I remember a few moments where it's like, I don't want to go to practice,
Yep.
but I have to go. So times like that, yeah, but I have such a great community and such great teammates on Elon Throws that they always remind me like, hey, these are the times where like this is where we get gold. Like this is the day that we actually win conference. This is the day that we get our PR. Like these are the days that make those days possible. So yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, like it's worth it. So
Yep, I feel you. So, okay, 2023, 2024 indoor. Okay, you competed in both the shot put and the weight throw for Elon, taking part in both of those events at the CAA championships. Okay, coming from high school, did you feel overwhelmed competing in both of those events? Because that's an important time. The championships, that's what it's all about. So,
yes.
did you ever feel overwhelmed as an athlete, your first year in college, doing all of that?
Yes, I was definitely afraid. I was so scared. I had my teammate Amelia Metz with me. She was I think she was the other freshman that was with me, and we were both so scared. But at the same time, we both had each other to lean on, and my other teammates who were very supportive. Caitlin Magoogan, one of my best friends now, and forever. She is so amazing. She was also there, and I just had such a great community around me. So even though I was afraid,
Right,
I just had a great community around me to remind me. Even my coach reminded me, like, this is exposure. Like,
right,
we don't expect you as a freshman than throwing 15 meters in weight to go out and score. Like, we will like
Right.
you to, but this is only exposure for you to dip your toe in. Like, yes, you're scared now, but it's good to have it now rather than when you're actually supposed to score and like you have that anxiety to take over.
Right. I actually like when an athlete is nervous. I don't like a athlete that acts like nothing's a big deal because I know that's not true. If you're really
Yeah.
into the sport, you're going to be nervous. You don't want to get embarrassed and you want to do well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for you to be nervous, you did set a new PR in the weight throw. At that same event. Well, I think you do 50, if over 51 feet, which is a lot. You
Mhm.
did, and you placed 15th, which is good. Then you establish another personal best with a mark of 37 dash 11.5 at the Brent Invitationals. Do you recall that? At the Brand Invitationals. Me and you talked about that last time. You didn't remember,
Yeah.
but
I
you did
know. I
very
know.
well. Yeah, you did very well there too. So for you to be nervous, you were competing at a high level.
Mhm.
You're very humble because I met you in person, but you're doing very good. You don't act like it, but you're doing very good. Okay, so 2024 outdoor, you threw the shot put and you threw the hammer in the CAA championships. Okay, so tell me about that because I'm not very familiar with the hammer throw. So can you break it down? Break that down for us and my
Yeah.
audience who may see this.
So the hammer throw is basically like a shot put. It's like a metal ball connected to a wire that has a handle, and
Okay,
you wind it, and then you
now I
spin
know.
with it, and then you release it, and that's how you throw it. So yeah, and then you have the indoor version of that, which is weight, is what we call it, the weight throw, and it's basically the same thing, but instead of metal, it's like a rubber kind of like medicine ball
Hmm.
connected to a handle, and you do the same thing. You don't wind it. Some people wind it. I don't wind it. My back can take it because
Okay,
it's 20 pounds. The comp
right.
weight is 20 pounds. But yeah, it's the same concept, but just indoors.
Okay, so I'm sure that's heavy in technique. Because if you don't do it right, you kind of fall over, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you, and that's why I like to talk to different athletes. How do you all train for something like that as far as technique? Because
Yeah.
I now I know what you're talking about. So how do you train for something like that?
A lot of drills. The
Right,
amount of drills that we do in the beginning of the season. In the summer, we do a lot of drills, and then we just throw. Like,
right.
repetition is where you build consistency. So we just throw, 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 and especially practices, like, we'll throw and our coach will be there, and our coach is so amazing because she can just look at a throw and like, "You pulled your shoulder," and I'm like, "How do you see that?" I feel like
Right,
I'm moving so fast, but she can see everything.
right.
So from there, we can, just adjust each time we throw to get to that perfect throw that she and we're looking for.
Right, and it's not just throwing because you have to have great balance too, because you're
Yes.
twisting around. Do you have to kind of stop on the dime without falling over the circle? So, I respect you all for doing that. That seems very hard. Now, you also threw the shot put. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you s- you act like, and I know it's hard. I'm just kind of joking, but you act like everything's so difficult and whatever. But you also set a personal best at the what is it, at the Charlotte Invitational. Okay, so how are you coming into college setting all of these personal best? Like, how is this happening? What is going on?
Honestly, I just the it just took a lot of faith, honestly, because honestly, I am a very self-deprecating person. Like, I
Mhm.
sometimes I can see it. You see it now. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, that was like it was hard, but it was okay, like, kind of thing.
Right,
So it took a lot of prayer, and a lot of faith, and not just myself, but like in my training. And
mhm,
that's a huge thing I had to learn. My freshman year, I was scared at every meet. I'm like, oh my god, what if I like don't do good? What? Don't? And I'm like,
right,
in the same breath, it's like you train every day
right.
for like how many hours on end to get to this moment, to have this moment, to prepare for this moment. So yeah, it was a lot of learning, but
Mhm. A
yeah,
lot of learning, huh?
a lot
While
of
you get a lot of learning while you get your personal best. I got you. I got
a
you.
lot of learning and a
Right.
lot of prayer.
With non-truth sports, ride with me.